I think this government should be judged by the numbers and not by emotions. And if you want to judge the government by numbers and in terms of what has been available to it to work, Nigerians would have been worse off if the government has not taken the steps that it took, especially in respect to the economy. Remember that in 2014, the recession started. So nobody should wake up and because of political reasons say that it was when this government came on board that we slipped into recession. Recession does not start overnight. The recession started in 2014, and that was why at the point of handover in 2015, 24 states were almost bankrupt. They couldn't pay salaries. The federal government was borrowing to pay salaries at that point when they handed over in 2015. The Naira had begun the downward slide, and at the point they handed over, it was 225 Naira to a dollar. So these were clear indices that there was something wrong. We were headed for the bottom of the slope. We were going to crash. Now, it could have been worse. That is why the way I would like to answer that question, if the government did not take the steps that it took. Now, what did the government do? There were two major approaches the government took to halt this slide. First, it needed to spend to reverse the recession. And that is why no matter how much you criticize it, it went a borrowing to invest in critical infrastructure, not to pay salaries. And the critical infrastructure has added, the investment in critical infrastructure, which is rail, road, and power, has contributed now. If you see the first quarter report of 2018, the GDP, it has actually rebounded. The economy is on its way to actual revival. The second measure it took is to diversify the economy. Those were the two-pronged approaches the government took. To diversify the economy because it was the over-reliance on oil that brought us to that sorry pass. And what did it do? It invested heavily in agriculture and industry. And I'm sure you know about the rice revolution happening. The rice revolution, 8 rice mills, suddenly, were revived. Fertilizer plants were revived. And right now, as I speak with you, we have moved from 2.5 million metric tons of rice to 4 million metric tons of rice.
So that is in the area of the economy, I mean, which is where, some people will definitely interrogate that.
Absolutely.
But, let us also talk, because your government campaigned on 3 prongs, I believe. Anti-corruption, the economy, and also security. Yes. How would you say it is done in the area of security?
Now, when the campaign started, they were campaigning in 2015, and we all talked about security. Now, what was top on the agenda at that time was the Boko Haram menace. That was top of it. Of course, the Fulani herdsmen crisis had always been there. In fact, in 2014, if you remember, they said the Fulani herdsmen, the armed Fulani herdsmen, were some of the 4th deadliest terrorist group in the world. So it had always been there, but it had not been highlighted as much as it has been highlighted now by people for whatever reason. Okay. But now, in respect of Boko Haram, I'm sure you know that from the Boko Haram controlling more than 14 local governments at that time, hoisting their flags actually, taking complete control of those local governments, there's no one single territory now that is being occupied by the Boko Haram.